Today I want to share with you a life-changing concept called mental alchemy. I got this idea from the author Robert Greene in his book, The 50th Law. It's a book that he wrote along with 50 Cent, talking about 50 Cent's life and all the lessons that he's learned from his life through it. So this was an entire chapter about mental alchemy. Basically, it's the idea of turning any seemingly negative situation into a positive one that serves you. For you to better understand what mental alchemy is, there's two stories I want to tell you about so you can understand it better. So the first one is called The Story of the Chinese Farmer. Once there was a Chinese farmer and he had a horse. And one day the horse ran away and all of his neighbors said, "Oh man, that's too bad." And the Chinese farmer said, "Maybe." A couple days later, the horse comes back, but it brings with it 2 more horses. And all the neighbors go, "Oh, that's wonderful, isn't it?" And the Chinese farmer goes, "Maybe." One day, while the Chinese farmer's son was riding one of the horses, he fell off and broke his leg. All of his neighbors said, "Oh, that's too bad, isn't it?" And the Chinese farmer said, "Maybe." The next day, the officers were coming around from the army looking for people to fight in a war, and they couldn't take his son because he had a broken leg. And all the neighbors said, "Isn't that wonderful?" And the Chinese farmer said, "Maybe." So basically, that story goes to show that events in life don't have any inherent meaning. They aren't inherently good or bad. They're just neutral. You never know what's going to be the ultimate consequence of good fortune or bad fortune. So events in life are neutral. That's what we get from that story. The second story is from a Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL, Jocko Willink. And he talks about how when he was in the army, he would have one of his soldiers always come into him with problems, and he would always respond to him, "Good." And one day, the soldier came to him with another problem. He said, before Jocko could say anything to him, he said, "I already know what you're going to say. You're going to say good." And Jocko goes, "Well, yeah. Anytime there's a situation, we're always going to find some good out of it." And then he goes on to list some situations. He says, "Didn't get the high-speed gear that we wanted. Good. We have more time to get creative with the gear that we already have. Didn't get promoted at your job. Good. More time to get better, build a better resume. Got injured? Good. Needed time away from training. Needed a rest. Got beat? Good. We learned from it." So this one, for me, takes that idea of the Chinese farmer one step further to say the Chinese farmer situation says the things that happen in life have neutral meanings. The story with Jocko and good goes to show that we can give the positive meaning to it in any situation in our life. So what do most people do when something bad happens in their life? Usually they freak out immediately. They let everyone around them tell them that it's a bad situation. They say, "Oh, I'm so sorry for you. That sucks. That's horrible. I hate that it happened for you." And then they internalize that, and ultimately they end up making the situation worse because they see it in their mind as something that's bad, ultimately treat it as such, and it ultimately just compounds to be something that is bad for them because that is how they see it. So when something that is not ideal happens to you, I want you to use this process now, because now we understand that events in life are neutral and we are the ones who give the meaning to them. I want you to use this process now whenever something seemingly bad happens in your life. First, whenever that event happens, I want you to first think, how could this have been so much worse? Okay, that's step number 1. How could this situation be so much worse? Second, I want you to start brainstorming. Just let your mind get some ideas about how this could be a good situation for you. We're not saying right now, "Oh, this is the best thing that ever happened to me," but I want you to just take some time to think, how could this serve me? How could this be a good thing for me? And then 3, once you've taken the time to think about those or even write them out, lay it out, I want you to make a decision in your mind that this is going to be a good thing for me. This is going to serve me. And here are now the things that I'm going to do in order to make it a positive for me. So the reason that I bring all this up right now is because right now I have a broken foot. I've had it broken for a couple weeks now. I got hurt in training. And what is the world going to say about a broken foot? Walking around, I'm getting pity from everyone. First day I walk into the locker room after getting hurt, I'm wearing this boot, and everyone wants to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, dude, that's horrible. That sucks." And while I appreciate the condolences that people want to give me, ultimately, I know that this situation is whatever I make of it, right? Like I've just talked about, I have the power in my mind to give the meaning, and that's what I'm going to do to it. So I'll run through those 3 things that we just talked about just from my own situation. So number 1, how could this have been so much worse? Well, first, the doctor had said if it was broke any worse, I would have needed surgery. I didn't need surgery. All I've had to do is just wear this boot. So that's great news. I didn't tear any muscle. I didn't tear a ligament or ACL or whatever it is. This is only something that puts me out for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is. And I'll be back this season to play again. It's not like I'm out for the rest of the season. So that's another great thing. And ultimately, the rest of my body is healthy. I wasn't in a car accident. My family is healthy. So this is just a minor speed bump on the way to where I'm ultimately going. Second, how could this possibly serve me? So before I got hurt, I was having some problems with my hip flexors, and I was just getting a bunch of tightness in them after practice, and I was kind of struggling just with my kicking because of it. And this has been a really good opportunity while I've been out for the past couple weeks for them just to rest, and I've also been working on strengthening them. So this has been an amazing period just to get that rest and to strengthen them up. I also feel like before I got hurt, my head just wasn't really in the right place. I feel like I wasn't looking at my situation with the right perspective, and now being hurt and not being able to train and being able to take a step back, I feel like I've given myself a brand new perspective of what my situation is this year. And I think seeing it from the right perspective now gives me the opportunity to make the most of it the rest of the season when I come back. So those were just some brainstorming ideas that I had about how I could make this a good situation for me. And then 3, ultimately deciding that this is a good situation for me. So like I said, now I know my hip flexors. I'm working with a physical therapist, and I actually saw her yesterday, and she was checking them out, the strength, and she was like, oh my gosh, they are so much stronger. So that's been a great thing for me. Now my hip flexors are strong. I know I'm not going to have issues really when I come back, and that was because I committed to doing strengthening on them every single day. And now I know also that my head is just in such a better place. I have been reading a lot of good stuff, listening to a lot of good podcasts, filling my mind with good information, and it's almost been reconditioning my mind to see the situation that I'm in better, and knowing that when I come back, I'm going to have this new, fresher mindset, fresher mind frame, and being able just to make the most of the rest of the season. I feel like if I would have not gotten hurt with the foot, I would have played the rest of the season from that mind state that I said wasn't really serving me. And ultimately, I feel like that could have been more destructive for this year of playing in that mindset, as opposed to getting hurt, having to be forced to step back, gain a new perspective, and then go on the rest of the season. If I wouldn't have had this happen, I feel like I would have just been stuck in that old mindset for the rest of the season. And like I said, that would have been the ultimate worst thing. In conclusion, I just want to leave you with a quote that is from the book. It was said by 50 Cent, the rapper 50 Cent. He says, "Every negative is a positive. The bad things that happen to me, I somehow make them good. That means you can't do anything to hurt me." So like we just talked about, the things in life that happen are not good or bad, they're just neutral, and we are the ones who give the meaning to them. So use the power of your mind to give the best meaning possible to them, the best self-serving meaning, so you can ultimately use it as a springboard to do bigger and better things because of it. The world is going to try to tell you whenever these situations happen that, oh, I'm so sorry, this is horrible, but you have to be the one in your mind to say, no, this is good, and I'm going to use this to serve me. Right when I got hurt, the day I found out that I broke my foot, I came back to my apartment and just started journaling and just writing down all the things that were on my mind at the time, and talking about, or writing to myself about how I was going to make this a good situation for me. And the one thing that came up a lot in my head was that the biggest thing that was going to set me off course for the next couple weeks, or even especially the next day, the first day back in with the team wearing the boot and everything, I knew that the one thing that was going to really mess up my head was hearing everyone say, I'm so sorry, this is horrible. And I knew that I had to almost be like a soldier standing at the door of my mind and saying, nope, 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 that's not true, that's not true. This is a good thing for me. And for you, whatever situation you're going through, you got to decide that it's going to be a good thing, and then you block out all the noise of everyone trying to tell you that it's a negative thing. And even the noise in your own head that tells you it's a negative thing. You have to ultimately be the one that says, nope, this is good, I'm going to make it good, and this is what's going to propel me forward in the future. So I hope that this video gives you a little bit of insight on just the power of your mind and how you can make any situation situation, whatever you want to make of it. It doesn't have to be bad and then weigh you down and make things worse. It might set you back for a second, but if you use it right and see it in the right way, it's going to springboard you further than you could have ever imagined. So use everything in your life to help move you forward. Use your mind to do that. Like 50 Cent said, every negative is a positive, but it's only going to be that way if you see it like that and use it like that. So continue to see the situations of your life the right way. Don't let the external world tell you what it is. You tell yourself what it is, and then move forward in the best possible way. I would highly recommend you check out the book, The 50th Law by Robert Greene and 50 Cent. Unbelievable book. I think Mental Alchemy is chapter 4. Very, very good chapter. I have the book on Audible, and whenever a situation like this happens and I need to make sure that my mind is in the right place and seeing my situation right, I'll just play that chapter on loop, Mental Alchemy. So check out that book. I hope that you have some new insight from this video, and we'll talk soon.